As soon as we find a hotel, we shall send for our bags. I took care to leave nothing of value on board. Everything is safe and secure right here. I even have a rough map of the city. As you can see, Holmes, I prepared for every possibility. And here we are in the new world. A whole continent ready to welcome us with open arms. Is this not invigorating, Holmes? Think of the challenge that lies ahead.
Indeed, Watson, but let me remind you that we have few clues and time is not our ally, and countless lives rely upon our success.
You are right, Holmes. Perhaps we should secure some local currency with our bills of exchange. At the present, we have but a few dollars at our disposal.
One more step, and your brains will be about as useful as gator bait.
The continent welcomes us with such hospitality, doesn't it?
Beg pardon, my good man. Is the bank closed for some time?
As long as it takes Mr. Blackman to come back from Baton Rouge with more dollars.
You were robbed.
Not hardly. We had a jewel sale.
When might one expect Mr. Blackman to return?
He likely could come back most any day, but he'll be gone 3 days at the least.
Is there anyone else who could shed some light on this transaction? You see, we have come from Europe and are interested in a particular set of precious stones. It may well prove to be this same set your bank sold recently.
I ain't talking, and I don't know nothing about it anyhow. There is one feller, goes by the name of Champagne. He's Cajun. He knows everything that goes on around these parts. You can most likely find him near a pile of planks at the end of the pier.
Everything has its price in America, isn't that what they say?
With open arms, Watson?
Napoleon, Lafayette. Don't mind the dogs, they just don't take to the smell of gentle folks, especially foreign ones. So what can old Champagne do for you? How's about some planks for your boat, or maybe a ride in Gator's Bath?
Some other time, perhaps. People say that you know everything that occurs in this area.
Maybe so, Don't care much what them people say. What you want to know?
We are particularly interested in a recent transaction in precious stones. No doubt you are familiar with these events.
For sure that's true. Now that you say it, I reckon I heard of some swap for jewels. I would help you out, but my poor brain's like a train with no coal. What you want me to do? Now, there's a bottle of some champagne or this and that. Old champagne will have a thing or two to say to you. Speaking of that, it come to me true. It was a week ago, maybe two. A butler working for a rich man made himself a jewel trade to Honor and Co. Looks like business to be done fast and with a quiet way. By my foot, the truth is here now.
The name of the employer of this silent partner?
He go by the name Honestson. He from far up the bayou to the east. He got some crazy notions, that'n. They must be all like that where he come from.
No doubt. One other matter. During the last few days, have you noticed any strange ship movements, especially regarding those taking leave of port late at night?
You did right by old Champagne, so I tell you true. 5 days ago, a ship, she weigh anchor in the middle of the night. She took sail right after a mess of folks brought a lot of boats to meet her and charged on board. These all came from the swamps. Could be toting contraband. Anyway, it left for the old world for sure. Old Champagne keeps to his own self. No reason to know nothing more. And advice to you, stay clear. Those that sticks their nose where it don't belong end up feeding the gators round these parts.
We shall consider ourselves duly warned. Good day.
And if you wants to go for a ride in the bayou or something else, old Champagne treats you right. I take dollars, bottles of you know what, right?
Holmes, our bag! Thief! Stop! Thief!
Stop! There he is. He's there! Stop!
Stop right there, you two. Not a move.
But the thief, he is going to...
Thief? What thief? All I see are two foreigners tearing up my wharf, making a lot of noise. I expect you have some sort of papers proving who you are and what business you have in my parish. I assume you have proof you're here legally.
What? Of course we have papers in our bag. But that villain, he... Well, upon my word, you allowed him to make off with our bag.
What are you insinuating, sir? Are you trying to offend me?
Gentlemen, look here. Calm down, Watson.
But can't you see that...
Watson? So you are Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Please, spare us the pretense. You know very well who we are.
And a clever fella in the bargain. Listen to me and listen up good, Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson. You will leave tomorrow morning for Europe on the same ship that brought you here. No need to offload your bags. Just turn around and get back on board. Nothing good will come your way if you ignore my advice. Oh, and one more thing. Without proper papers, you're nothing more than outlaws here in New Orleans. And outlaws end up as gator bait in my parish.
With open arms, was it, Watson?
Holmes, enough.
It seems they were warned of our arrival and waiting for us. Let's find the wealthy side of the city and the house of this Arneson. Come, Watson, time is not our friend. Watson, let's pay a visit to this Arneson. Ah, Watson, it seems we have arrived at the place. Look there, on the iron door.
Looks like no one is here, Holmes.
It's a pity, Watson. This is our only lead. Good morning, miss. Please don't be alarmed. We won't harm you, my dear. What is your name?
Eula, sir.
Lovely. When we arrived here, you were looking through this gate. This is the residence of Mr. Arneson, isn't it? Do you know him?
Yes, sir.
Do you know if he is at home?
Don't rightly know, sir.
Watson.
Come now, don't distress yourself like this. Why all these tears?
Because of my little brother, Davy. He serves with Mr. Arneson, and been more than 5 days since I heard from him.
Perhaps he went on a trip with Mr. Arneson.
No, sir. Tain't likely. I serves at the Gallagher's just the other side of the road. If they had left, I would have seen them. Something bad has happened. I can feel it.
But if you were so near, surely your brother would have cried out for help if there had been any real danger.
No, sir. Davy, he ain't like you and me. He's right smart in some ways. But Davy can't talk. Not a word. Besides, most evenings, we visits and sees each other across the stable door. And been more than 5 days since he been there. Oh, sir. I be mighty scared. Something has happened to him. I just knows it.
Miss, take us to this stable. Watson, I think this place is indeed isolated, and therefore quite vulnerable.
There be. I'm gonna go wait on the road. That way, if my mistress calls for me, I can hear.
Bravo, Holmes! Holmes, this horse is dying of thirst. Poor animal.
He has had no water for these past 5 days, Watson.
Unbearable.
This should prove useful. I hope this gate is not locked, because it appears quite formidable. Open! Observe, Watson, these beautiful, well-tended flowers. Someone must care for them. Closed tight. This should prove useful. This should prove useful. This should prove useful. This should prove useful. Another footstep. The hunt is on, Watson. Some footsteps or marks, not clear enough to make out. Let's see if there are others. Blood. However, given the small amount, the wound should be superficial. Wait, this is interesting. There's a trace of mud here. Footsteps. Let's see. Watson, regard the traces in the soil. A body was dragged here recently. Undoubtedly, it was a man of great size. More traces of mud. A person wearing shoes thick with fresh mud entered the garden by this gate. They entered the house and then returned, dragging a body back along the way. This erased some signs of their former movements, but not entirely. Fortunately, I have a particular talent for tracing footsteps. A neglected art indeed.
Ah, Holmes! There are thousands of these mosquitoes.
We must turn back, Watson, or we shall be devoured.
Look, Holmes, a raccoon. Come here, you little rascal.
They won't allow us too close, Watson, though the little imps are rather inquisitive by nature. Closed tight.
What a wretched smell, Holmes.
Quite wretched, Watson. It is the foul stench of death. Blood! The body was dragged from behind this door. What's this? Someone placed their hand near this footstep. Judging by the size of the fingers, it seems to be a youth. Why would they lean down here? Of course, to pick something up. Ah, it's a ham. What a delectable aroma. If only I were hungry. Watson, hold the basin. I think you know what to do with it.
Perfect. Easy now, fellow. Drink up. What could this be doing here?
Here you are, Watson. Ah, it's a ham. What a delectable aroma. If only I were hungry. Anson, with his servant, no doubt. These clothes belong to a servant, and judging from their size, he is a small man. Curious, there are some mud that appears to have come from underneath the bed. A stone of small size, but of splendid color. It seems to have no flaws, and I doubt that it originated in the American continent. These footsteps indicate a person of small stature, and the fact that they are so closely set suggests they made their way with great stealth.
What do you make of this, Holmes?
This blood on the ground came from a deep wound. I cannot budge the handle. They must have lodged something behind it to hold fast the door. Shh, Watson, listen. Whoever you are, open up. We mean you no harm. Open the door, for God's sake. It's a matter of life or death.
This is useless, Holmes.
Watson, your sensibility is appreciated. We shall come back later. Watson, what do you make of this?
What a horrific sight. It has lain here for at least a week.
On the contrary, Watson, once again you see, but fail to observe. The warmth of the local climate and the exceptional humidity undoubtedly sped up the rate of decomposition. Based upon my calculations, the body has been here for 5 days. Champagne. Maybe this will satisfy that old man of the same name. Let's examine the hands. They are calloused, with traces of dirt under the nails. This would be the gardener, no doubt. This must be Arnson. He appears fond of cigars. Papers were burned, and great care was taken to destroy everything of any value to our case. We will find nothing further in this place. They killed the man who was sitting there, and the trail of blood begins here. So this would be the body they dragged through the gate. Blood! Interesting. The person who sat here was fond of cigars. The person was struck with a sharp object as they entered. You can see the trail of blood that continues past the staircase. The body was dragged from behind this door. Ah, a book on the fauna and flora of Louisiana. This book has been read often. Tales of Fantastic Hunts by D. Niles. This metal tube is approximately 40 centimeters in length and 18 in diameter. It bears a small tag which reads, "This one without defect. My sincere apologies, E. Otis."
What the devil are you doing, Holmes?
A newspaper from 5 days ago. Someone has torn the last page. Well, it seems Arnson tried his hand at a small riddle in this newspaper. How strange. He does not seem the type to take interest in mathematical conundrums.
Holmes! Here!
Very interesting. Nothing can stop an inventive and logical mind. Bah, it's only an air pistol. I would be hard-pressed to shoot a nestling from a branch with this weapon. Besides, it's not even loaded. This should prove useful. Watson, that's shouting. Something is happening.
This must have come from the stables, Holmes. This must have come from the stables, Holmes. This must have come from the stables, Holmes.
They've bolted the door. There's no time for anything else. We must force it open. Quickly, Watson. We must find something to serve as a battering ram.
We must act quickly, Holmes.
Watson, this can serve as a ram to take down the door.
This must have come from the stables, Holmes.
Watson, tend to her.
Holmes, hold on. There is a message pinned to this unhappy woman. Holmes, she is still in shock. I must stay with her.
Ah, it's a ham. What a delectable aroma. If only I were hungry. Anson should be in these pictures. A lovely piece. I must say it's the highlight of this exhibition, but I dare say it shall prove useful. Ingenious. Standing on the stone activates some mechanism. This Anson has a good sense of humour. He and this girl should be very close. Perhaps she has some information. Yes, there is something here. Strange drawing. It says, only the best gunmen earn the finest arms. This picture is sinister. Nothing can stop an inventive and logical mind. It is possible to take down an elephant with one shot using these weapons. Unfortunately, the metal grid is too solid to break through. The same woman seen in the trophy photograph. Very interesting. How dreary, the swamp. We must hold fast, as it is imperative that we go there tonight. Everything in good time. First, I must find Watson. Perhaps it is time to take care of this young man. Everything in good time. First, I must find Watson. Watson, read this. It sheds light on a dark and sinister enterprise.
Arneson was in contact with the Northwood Agency. He wanted to inform them about the activities of Ashmat. But why?
Because his servant was secretly selling the same stolen jewelry sought by this agency. How is she, Watson?
It will be difficult for her to speak for some time. She had a narrow escape.
Can she walk?
Yes, but why?
Come with me. Your brother is behind this door, miss. He is wounded, but only superficially. It is extremely urgent that he opens this door. Can you call to him? Perhaps it will draw him out.
David. David.
Young man, I know that you can hear and understand me. We are here at the request of your sister, who is with us now. She is very worried about you, and rightly so. The man with me is a doctor. He is going to look at your wound and ease your suffering. Please come out. Everything will be all right.
Open the door, Davy. These gentlemen talk true. Come on now. Open up the door for Eula.
Miss, you should go and get some food for your brother. He must be very hungry. Have you finished, Watson?
Well, yes.
Very well. Please understand, my young lad, and you too, Miss Eula. We are here to solve an affair that risks many people's lives. Furthermore, we have very short time to save them. As for you, young man, you know some very important things. You must tell us everything and leave nothing out.
But what are you...
Listen to me. I will tell you a story. Davy, 5 days ago, at night, you were woken up by noises from the dining room. First, you heard the voice of the gardener, and then a loud blow to the floor. You got up and took the candle, which was lit. Then you went to the dining room. On your way, you found something on the floor and picked it up. It was likely a piece of paper. Afterwards, you went to the door of the dining room and saw the dead body of Colin the gardener soaking in a pool of blood. You also saw Ashmat, the other servant, dragging Mr. Arneson, who seemed dead, towards the door. Ashmat saw you, struck at you with his knife, and caught you in the arm. Seeing that this blow had not killed you, he raised his knife to strike again and eliminate the only witness to his heinous crime. But something stayed his hand. The item you picked up was far more important. He paused to snatch it up, giving you time to run away and barricade yourself in your room.
But if you were there, why didn't you do anything?
Mr. Holmes was not there, miss. But if he tells you that things have happened in such a way, you should believe him without any doubt.
Then you are a kind of hoodoo man.
In some way.
David, do this man tell it true? Is this what happened? The good man saved us both. Do what he tells you, Davy.
Listen to your sister, young man. Now, Davy, can you recall what was on that piece of paper? Think hard now. Watson, your notebook. Be attentive to everything he draws and copy it down exactly.
Holmes, can we trust these figures and make sense of them? I mean to say, consider this boy's affliction.
Ah, this boy. A strange one, isn't he? Watson, let's escort him and his sister to her employer.
This be the Gallagher's place. Thanks, misters.
Miss Eula, we should be thanking you. Now, take good care of your brother. Watson, we must move quickly. The enemy is close at hand, and there's another place we've yet to examine. Yes, Watson, we must pass this way. Before we venture further, we must find some protection from this merciless insect horde. Wait for me here. This should prove useful. Watson, cover yourself with lemon juice. It will protect you from the mosquito stings.
Do you know any similar trick to avoid the sting of bullets? We likely need it soon.
There are signs of a struggle here. Perhaps Arnson regained his senses and fought back. Blood, and in large quantities. This bush has been stripped of its lower leaves and slightly uprooted. Someone grabbed hold of the brambles and refused to let go. His adversary, unable to get him down due to the man's tight grasp, must have cut off his hand. I would say his right.
What a horror!
Rather, and quite determined. A boat was waiting here. Watson, it seems everything leads to the swamp. How can we get there?
We must find that fisherman, the one at the docks who gave us information. He could help us.
You're quite right, Watson. Besides, it would be wise to visit a young woman.
A young woman?
Run, Watson, run!
We outran them, Holmes.
Surely not, Watson. They ceased their chase only when they saw we continued towards the port. Apparently, they have orders to kill intruders only as a last resort.
Is this supposed to reassure me?
Good evening, my darlings. Come to have a little fun, have you?
Well...
No, madam. We came to give this bouquet to one of your boarders. You know who I'm talking about. We have something very important to say to her.
Good evening. You brought these flowers? Who are you? What's happened to...
Mr. Arnson? We still do not know exactly what has happened with the gentleman, but we are here to try and find out. Listen to me, miss.
Lucy.
My dear Miss Lucy, my friend and I have come here all the way from England. You may have seen us this morning with the sheriff.
Are you working for him?
No. Actually, we suspect him of obstructing our investigation. Our case has some remote connection with Mr. Arnson, so we went to his home to talk with him. While there, we found evidence he has been abducted, and one of his servants had been murdered.
Kidnapped? But why?
I don't know, but time is running out. Please tell us what you know about Mr. Arnson, and, Miss Lucy, omit nothing. Even the most trivial of facts may prove to be of great importance.
He is such a kind man, and had promised we would be married this autumn. He arrived in New Orleans about 2 years ago. He's a hunter, and was to stay but a few weeks. He was after something in the swamp, Lord knows what. Then, we met here. I had just started working, you see. Madam said that she would let me leave only if my debts and worth to her was paid off in full. A few weeks ago, Mr. Arneson, said that he had the solution. Maybe he had the money and was kidnapped by people who wanted it. It would have been a small fortune to most folks around here.
And you know where he could have hidden it?
Oh, I don't care about the money. If it could bring me back Errol, I'd give it away gladly. He showed me a secret room upstairs. He shoots with a gun to open it. He says that nobody else can succeed but a real marksman. Behind the wall is a cupboard with weapons and a little box hidden behind a big rifle. His money is inside. To open the gate of the cupboard, he uses a signet ring that he wears on his right hand. But how can any of this help you? You don't have his ring.
You have been of greater assistance than you may realize, Miss Lucy. If Mr. Anson is still alive, we shall bring him back to you. Come on, Watson. Now, Watson, let's explore this swamp.
We must find that fisherman, the one at the docks who gave us information. He could help us.
Good evening, sir. We are interested in a short trip along the bayou into the nearby swamp.
My mouth, nobody but some fool go in that swamp at night. Come back tomorrow. Old Champagne take you then for a fact.
No, sir. It is of the gravest importance that we could go to the swamp, and tonight.
No ways to get there. Listen, you have some boat hereabouts. Now, I can sell you the boat, but tell you true, you get your own selves to the swamp.
I believe we can find some manner of payment that you will find satisfactory. We shall return. Will this cover the cost of a boat?
It been kept in a bad way. My foot, it warm now for sure. All this'll get you is them planks from the woodpile around there.
And one of your lanterns.
Sold.
What do you expect to do with this, Holmes? Build a raft?
Watson, let's pay a visit to this Anson.
Would you be so kind as to explain to me why we are coming back with these wood planks?
We are searching for a signet ring, Watson.
And how do these planks help us find it?
We must recover the hand that wears it, so we must find a way to lure its finder.
But whom are you talking about, Holmes?
The facts speak for themselves, Watson. The key that unlocks Anson's cupboard is the signet ring he customarily wears on his right hand. There was the very same severed by one of his kidnappers when the poor man clung to the bush we saw on the way to the bayou. It so happens that raccoons are attracted by carrion and also are quite taken by shiny objects. No doubt one has made off with our missing hand and its ring. I noticed their tracks nearby, and no doubt they have a nest in this area. Find the raccoons, and we find our hand.
As you put it, it seems quite obvious, Holmes.
It's simplicity itself. But now we need to place some bait so the little fellow will come out and take us back to his den. I'm going to set this outside to attract the little devil. Watson, there's the nest. It's on the roof above the balcony. Excuse me, madam. I'm merely passing by with no wish to disturb you, although I'm sure you found Mr. Anson to be a man of good taste.
What a splendid weapon.
Indeed, it'll be of great advantage in the swamp. Here's what we need to buy a boat.
You should have listened to me, Mr. Holmes, and gone back on your boat.
It's the sheriff. Quickly, load the rifle, Holmes.
No, Watson, forget the gun and see to the ladder, and quickly. No, Watson, forget the gun and see to the ladder, and quickly. Let's go, Watson, to the port. Have we enough to buy a boat, sir?
For sure.
Excellent. Could you tell us the best way to reach the swamp area nearest to the rich parish?
That's simple enough for any fool. Sail along the river crook and keep close to the shore.
There is one last service you can do for us. The boat from which we disembarked is scheduled to leave tomorrow for Europe. Could you take a message to the crew for us? We may need for them to hold their departure until 8 o'clock in the morning.
Will do.
And one last thing. How may we identify Old Sam's racks from any others?
Old Sam's racks be marked with blue and white tops.
Now, Watson, let's explore this swamp. Here is the hidden passage near Old Sam's racks. We are on the right course, Watson. Here is the hidden passage near Old Sam's racks. We are on the right course, Watson. Blood!
Here now, this is hardly reassuring. But what is this horror, Holmes? Where have you taken us?
Near the goal, Watson, near the goal. Bravo, Watson. Here is what will draw these reptiles in that direction and free the passage. Attention, Watson. We arrive. Stand ready.
Here now, this is hardly reassuring.
Watson, see what you can do for this poor man. His servant took a harsh and terrible revenge by letting him go to these wild men. As for the others, I'm afraid we are too late.
Pitiable and blind fools! Are you not aware of the Great One's arrival? Even now, his servants are coming across his kingdom, and the enlightened will give up their flesh to him. All will be present for his awakening. Do not fight the calling! Soon he will end his dreaming, and your world will be swallowed whole. Bow down and give thanks. You are the food of his new world.
I've got it, Holmes.
What a strange book. I've never seen these idioms before. How perfect. It'll provide welcome diversion during our return voyage.
Holmes, help me to carry him to the boat. I really can't say if he will survive the voyage back.
By the devil, that'd be Arneson.
Indeed. Do you know someone who can be accommodating and tend to him?
You takes yourselves round and sees that little Lucy what lives on the boat.
I know where Lucy is. Please, help my friends to lift this poor man to the wharf, and I will go find Miss Lucy.
What can we do for you, my pretty one?
Dear madam, could you tell Lucy that we have found Mr. Arneson, and tell her to hurry? This may be her last chance to see him while he still breathes.
Lucy! Lucy! Ah, here you are. This gentleman found your fella.
My God, can it be true?
Sure enough, as he say.
What have they done with you? Oh, my poor love.
He has lost his hand and is in deep shock. But with rest and tender care, he has a good chance to survive these injuries.
Oh, madam, please, please.
If I could have a moment, we found this sum of money, which is a large amount and belongs to Mr. Arneson. I think it is fair to entrust it to your care.
Well, this seems all right then.
I will take good care of you. You'll see, my love.
About Arneson's place, there was some disorder left there. If you could be a good man and set things right.
You can count on old Champagne for every little thing. Now that's a fact.
I can see our friend is in good hands. We better hurry, Watson. I see our ship is making ready to leave. Watson, I have told you several times now, I am not to be disturbed.
But Holmes, you have been locked inside your cabin for all of 4 days now. Outside, the sun is simply radiant, and the wind from the sea...
If you approach me, Watson, I will throw you out. Now, leave me.
Blast it all, Holmes! I am bored. I can't take these sailors' conversations for another minute.
We have an understanding, Watson, each to his purpose. I will look to the translation of the book. You are to study the figures written out by our young friend Davy. Now, get on with your task and leave me to mine.
But you know that these enigmas are not my strong point. Wouldn't you have some other task which is better suited to my skills, Holmes?
Of course. You are a man of letters, after all. So, return to the bridge, take your trusted notebook, and apply your mind to editing this small writing.
Agreed. On what subject?
It is my monograph on the calculated trajectories of gull excretia. Good day, Watson. I see we have received a message, undoubtedly from my brother Mycroft. Strange. Here, read this, Watson.
Indeed, but the possession of such a treasure is an end in itself. Why the devil go through with such an elaborate masquerade?
Money is often the motive of the basest acts, but not in this case. These are deep waters indeed, Watson. These people follow some other dark purpose, so desperate that it justifies any sacrifice and great risk.
You frighten me, Holmes.
I know, sometimes I frighten myself. Enough of idle speculations, Watson. I asked you to study the figures drawn by young Davy. No doubt they are some cipher. What do you make of them? Indeed, they are open to but one possible meaning, even if it eludes me at present. As for my own enigma, I have failed to penetrate the secrets of this book. The language is archaic, and my own modest knowledge of ciphers is sorely tested. I have succeeded in drawing forth only insanities and other absurdities. According to this book, if my translation is exact, if one makes this mark with human blood, and then with conviction recites this illuminating verse, the victim is mesmerized or deemed to leave his mind. I tell you, Watson, this reads like complete gibberish. I do not know what to make of it.
How did you say it? What? These drawings, what a horror. I tell you, Holmes, this book gives me great unease, as does almost everything to do with this affair.
I just recalled, Watson. Didn't Barnes, the bookseller, tell us he had studied ancient history? Perhaps he might help us with the translation of this book. We must seek out better minds, for we are at a standstill. I have not the slightest idea where they could have taken these people and what consequences await them. Let's take our leave and see if Barnes might be of assistance.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, a real pleasure to see you. I say, where have you been? You've stayed away for some months now.
Indeed, we took a very long journey and barely made it back. However, we have more important matters to discuss. Didn't you say you have some knowledge of ancient people, their language, writings, and customs?
Indeed I did, Mr. Holmes. Why do you ask?
You are just the man we need. I ran across this esoteric text during our travels and wondered if... Is there something wrong, Barnes?
Mr. Holmes, wherever did you find this? This book, it is worthy of a museum.
If you could be so good as to translate some of these fragments for me, I would be in your debt. I am particularly interested in these pages here. They are in the poorest condition and therefore appear to be the most used.
With pleasure. I will get to work straight away and keep you informed of my progress. Strand! Get the Strand! 3 ships still missing at sea! All aboard feared lost! Get the Strand! Latest word on the missing ships!
Give me the latest edition, there's a good lad.
Thank you, mister.
Watson, consider the news of all these missing ships. I have an idea, but it will be necessary to secure a chart for the Scotland coast and nearby seas. No point in asking Barnes. I have no desire to divert his attention from the translation.
True enough, Holmes. But where else would we find such a chart?
It's elementary. It is a sea chart we seek. We must go to the harbour. Good day, sir.
Good morning to you, gentlemen. Would you care for a pint, or perhaps something finer?
Thank you, but at the moment I have need of information and will have to miss another glass of your fine ale. More's the pity. Would you happen to know where I could find charts of the local waters?
They're all kept at the harbour master's office, but I'm afraid only those with port business are allowed to enter. I trust you understand.
Precisely. What I need is a chart of the Scottish area, where all those ships have wrecked recently.
Indeed, such a sad tale. All those poor souls lost at sea. It seems as if the very devil is at work there. Hang on, a chart of the Scotland coastline, you said? It seems to me I have one in my room over there, behind the bar. Here's the key. Take it and have a look for yourself. If you find it, it's yours for the taking.
A photograph of Rochester as a young man. I have what we need, Watson. Now, let's examine this map. Watson, that's what those mysterious figures meant. Longitude and latitude. They indicate a point along the Scottish coast called Ardnamurchan. Let's bring back the key to the tavern keeper and see if he knows this place.
Did you find everything to your liking?
Indeed, you are as good as your word. I found the charts just as you said. Does the name Ardnamurchan mean anything to you?
Ah, yes. It's a lighthouse along that very coastline. Legend has it, the place was built over a pirate's hideaway. In fact, now that I think on it, that spot is right in the middle of the tempest that is taking down all those ships. Rather odd-looking building. They say the chap who built it, Stevenson I believe his name was, that he fancied up the entrance with foreign symbols, Egyptian obelisks and even a dog with wings. Strange fixings for a lighthouse, isn't it? Mr. Holmes, that gent Barnes is looking for you. He says to come quick, most urgent news. Mr. Holmes, I was able to translate the pages that you wanted. Come, I will show you. This book is quite ancient. It tells of a terrifying sect devoted to strange entities. The descriptions are vague, but we can presume the origin of this myth arises from the destructive Leviathan represented in the Bible, a creature said to sleep and dream in a strange city under the sea.
A nightmare sleeping within the sea.
To be exact, the pages you asked me to translate are in fact a prayer or invocation to this entity and the description of the ceremony associated with it. To be frank, what is described in this book would make one laugh, were it not for its reliance on such horribly obscene, morbid, and bloodthirsty language.
And this ceremony, what can you tell me about it?
Promise me you will not laugh. The book says that hundreds or thousands of years ago, during a particular alignment of the stars, a priest performed these rites, invoking the name of a destructive Leviathan. The priest intoned his name and called for his return to this earth so his followers could give him his due. The priest then asked a representative of each nation on the earth to recite the invocation and sacrifice themselves to the sea from atop a colossal natural rock tower surrounded by water. All this is quite absurd, isn't it?
Pray continue, Barnes.
As you like. It goes on to say that the ceremony must be held under the image of the messenger of the outside gods. Nothing more exact is said on these entities. However, from their description, their messenger would have a form rather close to the Egyptian Sphinx, except that his face is without feature and jet black in colour. So an idol in its likeness must be present during the ceremony. But can you imagine that? Some so-called priest and an international crowd atop a tower singing in unison before some faceless winged stone lion?
I can imagine it very well, Barnes. You say that these people are to throw themselves into the sea so that their god will have his due. But what is it about? What does this god seek?
That's the most preposterous part of this tale, and proves it to be pure myth and fancy. Even for the sake of argument, this ceremony could never have happened. In such ancient times, it would have been quite impossible to gather representatives from every nation on Earth and in one place.
I understand, Barnes. Humour me a bit more and please answer my last question. What would this Leviathan want from us?
Indeed, we would owe this creature our world. According to this, complete the ceremony and the collective sacrifice, invoke the demon, and he will arise and swallow the earth. Yes, Holmes, they sought nothing less than the end of the world. What nonsense!
Thank you, Barnes. I must leave now. Goodbye. The newspaper dating before our departure. Watson, find it. There was some article about the current alignment of the stars. This may tell us precisely how much time we have left.
But Holmes, surely you can't believe...
The newspaper, Watson. Find that newspaper.